Welcome to the Living with Grace series. In this session, we will be talking about trust. Trust really forms the bedrock of grace. It's about trusting ourselves, others, and the process of life itself, right? So living with grace means having faith that things will work out, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. And John Kabat-Zinn says, it is far better to trust in your intuition and your own authority, even if you make some mistakes along the way, rather than always looking outside yourself for guidance. So trust is really fundamental and deeply rooted concept. Living with grace involves cultivating a sense of elegance, dignity, and kindness in our actions and interactions. So trust in this context refers to the confidence and reliance we place in ourselves and others to maintain the state of grace. Trust in ourselves is fundamental to living with grace. It means having confidence in our own abilities and judgment to act with integrity, compassion, and wisdom. And this self-trust allows us to move through life gracefully, making choices and decisions that align with our values and our principles. Living with grace also involves trusting the people around us. It means giving others the benefit of the doubt, assuming their good intentions, and being open to forming meaningful and authentic connections. Trust in others can lead to more harmonious relationships and a sense of unity in the community. And for some, living with grace involves trusting in a higher power or the universe. This type of trust entails believing that there is an order or purpose to the events in our lives, even in the face of adversity. It allows us to accept and gracefully navigate life's challenges. Living with grace often requires us to trust in the process of life unfolding and also trusting the process of personal growth and transformation. It means having faith that over time, we will evolve into a better, more graceful version of ourselves. Having trust in the process can provide patience and resilience as we face obstacles and setbacks. And in essence, can pave the way to grace. Grace is also very often associated with vulnerability, as it requires letting down our guard and showing our authentic self. So trusting in our own vulnerability means having the confidence to be open, honest, and genuine in our interactions with others, even when it feels uncomfortable. Having a level of trust in forgiveness is also key. Living with grace involves forgiveness both of ourselves and others. Trusting in forgiveness means believing that people can change and that we can move past mistakes and conflicts, ultimately fostering harmony and grace in our life. So in summary, trust in the context of living with grace is comprised of self-trust, trust in others, trust in the universe or a higher power, trust in the process of personal growth, trust in vulnerability, and trust in forgiveness. It's a profound, interconnected system of beliefs and attitudes that support the cultivation of a graceful and harmonious way of living. And so now we're going to move into a brief reflection and contemplation to explore trust. So finding a comfortable posture and settling into your seat, lowering your gaze or closing your eyes, whatever feels right for you in this moment. And then maybe taking a moment to tune in to the contact points and using them to fully drop into the body. So feeling your feet on the floor, your sits bones in the seat, and your hands wherever they are resting, in your lap or your thighs. And now maybe noticing any gripping or tension and inviting a softening. So inviting a softening in the belly, the chest area, shoulders, your neck, and perhaps slackening the jaw and breathing some ease into your forehead. And now, as you're ready, turning your attention to the breath and just bringing an awareness to the gentle ebb and flow of your breath, following along the rhythm of your own breath cycle, just for the next few breaths. One breath in, one breath out. Another breath in, and another breath out. Maybe noticing the nuances of the breath and how it continually shifts and changes. And now we'll spend some time exploring what trust can mean to us and how we might lean into trust. So taking a moment now to think about the vulnerability we might feel when trusting ourselves in the face of life's challenges. And is it possible to lean into the vulnerability that we often feel in the midst of a crisis and use it to trust in ourselves, to trust in those closest to us that they have our back, to trust in the process of life itself. And so thinking about what is your typical approach to a challenge? Do you generally allow yourself to trust the process of life unfolding? Or do you micromanage and second guess your decisions? So just thinking about when you encounter an obstacle, do you have trust that things will work out? Or do you fear the worst and worry about things that might well be out of your control? No right or wrong answers here, but just exploring. And now taking a moment to think about your interactions with others. Maybe in an important relationship with family or friends, or a work relationship with a coworker or a boss. And thinking about, do you have trust in the important people in your life, giving them the benefit of the doubt? Or do you have doubts about their intentions right from the outset? So just being with what comes up and understanding if you find that trust is a difficult concept. Let's break it down into moments of trust by allowing moments of vulnerability. Perhaps focusing on softening around the word trust, softening around the idea of having vulnerability, the idea of allowing yourself to be vulnerable. So just creating some space around vulnerability. What does vulnerability feel like in the body? Is there tension? Or is it a softness? And if there's both, can you lean into the softness? Breathe into the softness of being vulnerable. And in this moment, can you give yourself over to the idea of vulnerability and surrender to the vulnerability? Just being with this idea of surrendering to the vulnerability. What does it feel like to surrender? And perhaps for you, there might even be a feeling of liberation. Right? So just knowing that there can be a sense of liberation when allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. We're so often taught that vulnerability is weak, but also know that it's actually a strength to be able to be vulnerable with yourself and with those around you. And so now, beginning to let go of this practice and just letting it be just as it was and just as you are in this moment. When you're ready, allowing the eyes to gently open and bringing your awareness back to your surroundings. Thank you for your practice. And I invite you to continue exploring what being vulnerable in your ability to trust feels like to you. And perhaps recognizing that leaning into vulnerability provides the grace and strength to persevere through even the most difficult challenges. Thank you and be well.